At the beginning of the story, we see a gangster named Dorian who wants to rob a bank. For this, he sends his dancer girlfriend Tina into the bank. Tina pretends to open an account and, using a hidden camera in her purse, shows Dorian the bank's security routes. Dorian's partner asks him if Nico knows about their robbery plan. Dorian replies that he hasn't told Nico anything. In fact, he plans to kill him. After getting the money, he wants to remove Nico and take control of the Coco Bongo Club. A bank worker named Stanley is mesmerized by Tina's beauty. He has never spoken to such a beautiful girl before, so he cannot gather the courage to ask for her number. Stanley's close friend Charlie tells him that he let such a beautiful girl slip away, but not to worry. He will take him to the Coco Bongo Club that night, where he can meet different girls and learn everything. Stanley had sent his car for repair, so he goes to the garage. However, his car is still not fixed, so the mechanic gives him an old broken car to use. Stanley takes that car and goes to the nightclub, but Charlie accidentally goes inside without informing him, and when Stanley tries to enter, Dorian's guards grab him and throw him out. Tina is also outside the club, and when she sees Stanley's broken car, she laughs at him. This makes Stanley feel very bad, so he leaves immediately. On the way, his car breaks down on a bridge. Angry, Stanley starts kicking the car, damaging it badly. Suddenly, he sees something floating in the river. Without wasting time, he jumps in to save it, but it turns out not to be a person, just some floating debris with a wooden mask on top, which confused him. Stanley takes the mask home. His dog Milo gets very scared upon seeing the mask, which surprised Stanley. Out of curiosity, he puts the mask on. Suddenly, the mask sticks to his face, and Stanley transforms into a completely different person, playful, mischievous, and full of energy. As he steps out, a woman sees him and gets so scared that she tries to shoot him, but Stanley escapes. The mask brings out all the emotions he had suppressed for a long time. He feels like dancing, but first he goes to the garage to teach the mechanic a lesson for giving him that broken car, which caused his embarrassment in front of Tina. The next morning, Stanley wakes up with a severe headache and thinks everything that happened was just a bad dream. But then, a police detective named Kellaway arrives and asks if he knows anything about last night's attack. Stanley is confused. Kellaway explains that a man wearing a green mask attacked his neighbor, and she even fired bullets in self-defense.
Hearing this, Stanley is shocked. He realizes that what happened last night was not a dream, but reality. However, he cannot understand how it all happened, so he doesn't tell Kellaway anything. After the detective leaves, Stanley throws the mask out of the window, but magically it comes back into the house. Later, Stanley goes to the bank. Charlie shows him a newspaper with Tina's photo on the front page. Stanley wonders if he could ever make Tina his girlfriend and if she will return to the bank. At that moment, a journalist named Peggy arrives. She tells Stanley that a dangerous incident happened at the garage last night. Someone wearing a green mask attacked the mechanic. Since Stanley has been a regular customer there, she asks if he knows who could have done it. Stanley himself committed those acts while wearing the mask, but he doesn't tell her. However, Peggy recognizes Stanley because she once published a letter written by him in her article. They recognize each other, and Peggy gives her number. That night, Stanley dreams about Tina, imagining spending time with her, but he wakes up and starts looking at her photo in the newspaper. Then his eyes fall on the mask again. He cannot understand how the mask returned even after he threw it away. Now, Stanley stops thinking about how the mask returned and starts thinking about spending time with Tina, so he decides to wear the mask and go meet her. But he has no money, so he goes out to arrange some. Meanwhile, Nico finds out that Dorian has been secretly running his own business inside the nightclub behind his back. This makes Nico extremely angry. He calls Dorian through his guards and says, "I know what you've been doing behind my back. No matter what happens, I won't let you move forward. At first, I thought you were doing this for money, but now it seems you want my position. I'm giving you 1 week. Leave this city, or I won't spare your life." Dorian gets very angry, but without money he can't do anything, so he immediately starts preparing to rob the bank that very night.
At night, his gang members enter the bank, but suddenly, Stanley, wearing the mask, breaks the bank door from inside and comes out carrying bags full of money. He runs away quickly. He then bribes the guard with a lot of money and enters the Coco Bongo Club, where he starts dancing with Tina. Meanwhile, Dorian's gang plans to loot the remaining money from the bank, but the police arrive, so they escape and come to the nightclub. During the gunfire, one of the gang members gets shot in the chest and is badly injured. Before dying, he tells Dorian that a masked man robbed the bank before them and that he got shot by the police. After saying this, he dies. Dorian becomes furious and asks his gang who informed the police before them. One of them points towards Stanley. Enraged by his partner's death, Dorian goes to kill Stanley. One of the goons shoots at Stanley, and a piece of his suit falls to the ground. Dorian clears the club and asks Stanley about the stolen money, but Stanley says nothing. Dorian tries to shoot him, but Stanley escapes. At that moment, Detective Calloway arrives with the police and arrests Dorian and his gang for the bank robbery. Calloway also finds a piece of Stanley's suit there, which makes him suspicious that Stanley might have helped in the robbery. The next morning, Calloway goes to Stanley's house for questioning. Stanley realizes that Calloway has come because of last night's incident, so he quickly hides the mask. He also finds the stolen money in his wardrobe and hides it properly. Calloway enters and asks, "Where were you last night? And what do you know about the man in the green mask? He robbed your bank with a gang, and I found a piece of your suit in the nightclub. Could it be that you helped them?" Stanley replies, "What are you saying? Why would I rob the bank where I work? And the suit you're talking about was stolen from my house a few days ago." Calloway has no solid proof, so he leaves. At the police station, he discovers that there are no fingerprints of Dorian or his gang on the bank lockers, meaning they didn't steal the money. Now, all his suspicion shifts towards Stanley, so he decides to match Stanley's fingerprints. Since there is no proof against Dorian and his gang, they are released. But Dorian is not someone who gives up easily. He hires all the goons in the city, offering them money to capture the man in the green mask and bring him to him. He tells Tina, "I know how happy you were dancing with that masked man, but soon he will be dead and you won't be happy anymore." Stanley returns to the bank where his boss scolds him for being late. Because of the mask, Stanley has lost his timid nature. He boldly tells his boss, "If you say one more word, I'll report all the fake loans of this bank to the police and get you jailed." Hearing this, the boss quietly walks away. Charlie is shocked to see this new side of Stanley and starts praising him.
Just then, Tina arrives and asks Stanley about the masked man. Stanley realizes that Tina has started liking the masked man, and he himself likes Tina too. So he lies and says, "The masked man is my friend. If you want, I can arrange a meeting with him tonight." Tina becomes very happy and thanks Stanley with a kiss. Stanley cannot decide whether he should tell Tina the truth about himself or not, so he goes to a history researcher, Dr. Newman. Newman had recently released a book about ancient masks from different civilizations and cultures. After seeing the wooden mask, Newman says, "I'm not completely sure, but this mask could belong to Loki, the god from Green mythology. From what you described, your hidden emotions coming out after wearing it, that matches Loki's mischievous and playful nature. But I don't think this mask really has any powers." To prove it, Stanley asks him to wear the mask, but nothing happens. Stanley says, "Maybe it only works at night, that's why I can't show you its power right now." Hearing all this, Newman starts thinking Stanley is crazy and suggests he see a psychiatrist. Stanley ignores him and goes to meet Tina. Meanwhile, Detective Calloway is following Stanley because the fingerprints found on the bank locker match Stanley's fingerprints. At first, Stanley sits with Tina in his normal form and they watch the sky together. Then he suddenly goes behind some bushes, wears the mask, and comes back. He tries to kiss Tina, but before that, Calloway arrives with police officers. They catch Stanley and search him, but they find nothing except useless items. Stanley handcuffs Calloway and escapes. Soon, the entire police force surrounds him, but Stanley doesn't panic. Instead, he starts dancing and traps all the officers in his charm. They also begin dancing, allowing him to escape. Calloway chases him, but Stanley removes the mask and escapes in Peggy's car.
Peggy had already learned about Stanley and came to help him. She takes him to an empty factory and starts talking lovingly with him. But soon, Dorian arrives with his gang. He gives Peggy a suitcase full of money, and she hands over Stanley's wooden mask to him. She says, "Forgive me, but I needed the money. That's why I kept you distracted." Without wasting time, Dorian wears the mask. It makes his evil nature even stronger. Earlier, he wanted to kill Stanley, but now he decides to keep him alive and hand him over to the police so that the police will stop looking for the masked man, allowing Dorian to continue his crimes freely. Dorian's gang takes the stolen money from Stanley's house and leaves Stanley in front of the police station. Stanley tries to tell Kellaway the truth about Dorian, but the goons had hidden a green rubber mask in his clothes. Seeing this, Kellaway doesn't believe him and puts him in jail. Milo, Stanley's dog, follows the goon's car and reaches the police station. Barking, he lets Stanley know he is there. The next day, Tina comes to meet Stanley in jail. Stanley warns her not to come, saying that if Dorian finds out, she will be in danger. Tina says she knows and plans to leave the city soon, but if Dorian keeps the mask, he will become a threat to everyone. She asks, "How does the mask work?" Stanley replies, "I don't fully understand its power. I just know it amplifies our emotions. A good person becomes better, and a bad person becomes much worse. That's why I couldn't express my feelings to you normally, but when I wore the mask, I said everything openly." Tina comes close and says, "Even if you confessed your love with the help of the mask, I know you're a good person. I've spent time with many people, but you were the first who looked at the sky with me instead of my body. That shows you love me, not just my looks." She adds that she will leave the city for a while, but will return soon. As she leaves, Dorian's men start following her. She runs away screaming. Stanley hears her and asks the guard for help, but the guard is asleep. So Stanley calls Milo inside through the window. Milo takes the key from the guard's pocket. Stanley escapes, knocks the guard unconscious, and takes his gun. Just then, Kellaway arrives and says Stanley cannot escape. Stanley handcuffs himself to Kellaway and forces him out of the station at gunpoint. No one stops them, thinking Kellaway is taking Stanley to court.
Meanwhile, Dorian captures Tina and takes her to the Coco Bongo nightclub, where Nico is partying with rich people. Dorian stops the party. Nico, in anger, shoots at him, but because of the mask, Dorian is unharmed. He even fires bullets from his mouth and kills Nico. Dorian ties Tina to a pillar and places a time bomb near her. The nightclub is set to explode in 10 minutes. Stanley reaches outside the club with Kellaway and asks him to call backup. Then he goes inside, but a goon catches him. Knowing she might not survive, Tina tricks Dorian and asks him to remove the mask for one last kiss. Dorian falls for it and removes the mask. Tina kicks it away. Milo grabs the mask and wears it, turning into a monster dog and attacking the goons. Stanley tries to free Tina, but Dorian stops him and a fierce fight begins. In the end, Stanley knocks Dorian down with a powerful punch. He takes the mask from Milo and wears it. With only seconds left before the bomb explodes, Stanley swallows it. The bomb explodes inside him, but thanks to the mask, he remains unharmed and saves everyone. Dorian tries to attack again, but Stanley defeats him by flushing him away into a fountain pond. Soon, the police arrive. Stanley fears that Kellaway will arrest him, so he tries to escape with Tina in the crowd, but Kellaway catches him. However, Kellaway's chief orders not to arrest Stanley, saying, "Stanley is not the masked man. He stopped him and saved everyone." Stanley leaves with Tina and Charlie. He asks Tina, "Do you really want me to throw away this mask? After that, I won't be the same person you fell in love with." Tina replies, "I never loved the mask. I liked you from the beginning, and I will always stay with you. I don't need the mask to love you. In fact, it only caused trouble." Saying this, she throws the mask into the river and kisses Stanley. Charlie, however, becomes greedy and thinks he could also find love using the mask. He jumps into the river to get it, but before he can, Milo takes the mask again, not wanting any more trouble. And with this, the movie ends on a happy note. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel.